We will return to your scheduled programming shortly, or we are currently experiencing technical difficulties.
Good morning, YouTube. How you guys doing today? Not enough coffee in me yet. Thomas was first in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Bradley's here. Thomas says, what? Unsubbing? I'm presuming it's a response to the name of this live stream. Dan23 says, hello. Rambling Canuck is here. And then Dan says, ATAT, because of the wonderful, officially called a space dog. Eli says, hi, Anti-Trekker. Life with Matthew says, good morning. And Commodore Ty says, what? No spice today? No, we're not. Well, we're not doing a marathon today. No. Me and Matthew were talking about doing something hopeful. I need to talk to him. I was thinking about trying to do something next Friday night as a Halloween Eve kind of thing. But I need to talk to Matthew. Hopefully, like, maybe we can talk during the virtual pub tonight about it or something. And Sean says, AM, it's 5:12 p.m. Well, that's because, you're on the wrong side of the planet. And Dinner Bell says, but the spice must flow. It's funny because I do have these horrible looking spices sitting here. And, we do need to work out a way to sample some of these. And I know Matthew's just itching to eat some more bugs and jelly beans and stuff. So we're going to have to figure something out. And Cinnabon says, oh, almost hit the go live button and stole your audience. Woo, crisis averted. Well, that would have been a horrible thing, but thank you, Cinnabon. Don't worry, this probably won't be a super long live stream for me because my sinuses are still killing me and I want to be as rested as I can for the pub tonight. And so let me tell you a little bit about why I'm saying this is going to be my last AM live stream, not counting the Sunday morning streams, for at least a while. And that is quite simply my schedule is changing. My work schedule from my regular corporate job is changing as of this Sunday. And so I will no longer have a schedule that will allow me to do daytime live streams. And the plus side is my evening live streams will be able to be a little bit earlier because my whole shift is shifting to earlier. And even though this schedule is not even a permanent one, it will last somewhere between 2 and 12 weeks. I don't know exactly where in that time frame it's going to be. And so for this temporary shift, I will be off on Fridays and Saturdays, which I'm actually looking forward to because that means that even though on the downside, I will no longer be able to do the live streams immediately after watching Discovery in the early morning of Thursdays because I'll be working Thursday morning. On the flip side of that, I'll be off on Fridays, which means that I could do a early reaction to the to Discovery and then a later reaction to Mandalorian. But that's only temporary, and once this temporary assignment that I'm doing is gone, I will be switching my days off again. And my days off are going to be, I'm going to be on a 4x10 schedule, and my days off are going to be something weird like Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that. And so it's going to be kind of weird. I haven't figured out what I'm going to be able to do when that hits. So that's basically why everything's up in the air right now as far as my schedule here on YouTube and what I can and cannot do. So that means, sadly, while I am going to be on the virtual pub tonight, there will not be a 2 o'clock in the morning live stream tonight, and because I do have to get up on Thursday morning, and so it's good and bad. I would rather I like doing those live streams because not very many people are, but at the same time, I have to, take care of my body and my family first, because if, I just collapse or something, that's not going to help anybody. Springtime says, how are you and the Auntie family? Doing okay, all things considered, although Auntie and Puka seem to have brought home some fleas, and so even though we give them regular flea treatments, we found a couple of fleas around the house, so we're actually, one of the reasons tomorrow, why I can't do the live stream tonight is because tomorrow morning we're going to get up bright and early and basically bomb the entire house so that we can get rid of any fleas and eggs that are in the house. And then, and of course, we have to be out of the house for a couple of hours after that. And then, and so then when we come back, hopefully we'll be able to take care of that little problem. It's been a rough year for the dogs this year. I don't know what it is, because we give them regular, it's like called Advantix or something like that, whatever it is, the little droplets you put on their skin, and it really does a good job at killing fleas and ticks. But for some reason this year, I don't know, the fleas and ticks are mutating. Maybe it's COVID fleas. I don't know. But this is the first time since we've been using this Advantix stuff that they've actually gotten fleas. And so, and we've been fighting them for a little while. I mean, we've gotten some basic flea treatments and stuff, and so far, no dice. But we're going to keep working on it. Springtime says, still homesick and wait for my COVID-19 test results. Man, waiting for the test results? I thought the tests were supposed to be fast now. But that sucks. I'm sorry, Springtime. I hope you're feeling better real soon. In Empire Strikes Back, we don't know how the AT-AT got from the ship to the planet. Only canon counts. You're right. We don't know. The only thing we know is that Vader told General Veers to prepare his troops for a surface attack, and the next thing we see, the AT-ATs and AT-STs are on the ground. Now, we do know, of course, in the Star Wars universe, they do not have transporters or anything like that, but we also know from what we've seen, if we want to look, since and I'm fair with the whole only canon counts, but you can also have to draw logical extrapolations from canon, right? So what we have seen in both the prequel series and in the Rogue One is another good example where we've seen Star Destroyers have the ability to fly at very low altitude, that their anti-gravity does not seem to be it's not like a Star Destroyer can't skim the surface of a planet. And so it would seem to me that with those big cargo doors on the bottom of the Star Destroyer, that the Star Destroyer would just simply come down towards the surface of the planet outside of the perimeter of the defensive shield, and then lower the AT-ATs and stuff from that cargo bay to the ground, and that's how they would do a surface attack. Similar, in fact, and again, going back to the canon of the prequels, in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, when the clones actually attack the Trade Federation, you do see a couple of ships come in and then drop off those little walkers and then take off. Picture that basically just on a much larger scale, where Star Destroyers are actually coming down and dropping the AT-ATs. That's how I see it. So there's my explanation. Take it for what you will. 47 is in the house. Bradley says, take a swig of some of that stronger sauce. That should clear your sinuses up. Yeah, it probably would, but, yeah, I'm going to save these sauces for a special occasion, namely probably trying to do more fundraising. And right now, we're just, today... today and tomorrow, my last 2 days off before the schedule change, we've got to get things in order because next week things are going to be a little different. Let's see. Cryptic lied about the legendary Mirror Galaxy. I'm pissed. Well, oh, really? What did they do? I did not hear anything because you know what? I have not played Star Trek Online in a long time. And Darren says, take advantage of the schedule situation, make videos instead of doing live streams. Funny you should say that, Darren. This schedule change is actually going to allow me to do more videos, which I'm very, very excited about. And so, yes, so I'm not going to be able to do live streams during the day, but I will have time at more appropriate times when I'm able to work on videos. And in fact, I have about... you're gonna well, I don't know, you may or may not like it, Darren, but I'm working on a video right now that I think you'll find very interesting, and I'm going to be talking quite a bit about two very important episodes of TNG. One, probably the first. So Thomas sent me a picture. I got to show this to you guys, and just saying that he's scared. And it looks like it is Thomas's cat. Let me see here. And there's Thomas's cat sitting in front of the Twilight Zone, staring at him, probably ready to attack any moment. So good luck, Thomas. I hope that you survive. Anyway, so basically looking at a couple of very important, and at least in my opinion, landmark episodes of TNG. Even though one of them in particular is not an episode I particularly like, that's not what it's about. This is not a critique of the episode itself, or rather more about the implications of said episodes, and how they impact a specific character, and then how that, in turn, is a reflection on a much larger philosophical issue, one that people have been debating about for centuries. And so, I know that sounds like a lot, but I think it's going to be a humdinger of a video. And yes, I said humdinger. Change seating and stats as far as mirror universe type stuff. That sucks. Rambling Canuck says, woke up to 2 inches of snow in my backyard, so yay, winter is here. I'm jealous of you, Rambling. In fact, I think it was, I can't remember, it was Michigan or Montana in the United States had a record snowfall, something like 4 inches, which this early in the year is unheard of. I wish we got a lot of snow here in Tennessee. We just don't. Darren says, videos are better for your channel than live streams anyway. Yes and no. And the problem, and this is the ultimate problem, and Yosef throws a couple of euros in. Thank you. I'm not selfish, Joseph. I didn't have any direct control over the schedule change. So the schedule change is the reason I can't do the daytime. And don't get me wrong, Joseph, you know I love my European friends, like you. But unfortunately, I have to yield to my corporate overlords because, I got to pay the bills. So that sucks. I love hanging out. A lot of you guys in Europe have very different perspective. And so I love talking to people from around the world. That's something I love about this channel. But unfortunately, I also have to yield to my corporate overlords. And let's see. And as far as video is better for the channel and live streams. Yes and no. Videos are better for subscriptions, and if you get to a certain point, like once you get past like probably about 50 to 100,000 subs, then it can make a big difference in income. However, the problem is when you have less than 50 to 100,000 subs, then you make practically no income off of videos. And I do have to pay the bills. I mean, that's part of the reason I put as much time into YouTube as I do. I love doing the YouTube thing, but I probably wouldn't live stream as often as I do if it wasn't for the fact that I honestly need to pay bills. And I do know, but I do want to get more videos out because they do help. And that is my ultimate goal here. Will you watch the new Borat sequel on Amazon this week? No. Not interested in Borat. Sorry, Uncle Remus. And don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on Borat. Just never appealed to me. If you're going to be talking about TNG, we know it'll be hateful, negative video. Actually, you may be pleasantly surprised in that regard, Darren. And Darren says, humdinger, Live with Matthew has words like that trademarked, I believe. Better watch out. Ooh, yeah, I do need to be careful of that. And Yosef says, 4 inches a record. Haha. Well, 4 inches is a record this early in the year. That's not like a record snowfall for like a huge snowfall. But keep in mind that we're talking about 4 inches of snow in mid-October is very unusual. Now, I don't know what the climate is like in Slovakia compared to the United States and when you guys start getting snow and stuff like that. But, we're talking about areas that normally their annual snowfall is measured in feet, right? So it's not like they don't get buried in snow in peak winter. It's just that right now is not peak winter. It's kind of fall. So, yeah. Josh Street says, Bird, breaking news. The new Indiana Jones The Crystal Skull Wednesday streams have been canceled to show the new horror movie Burnham and the Crystal Ghostbusters 2016. Wow. Bradley says, I have 2 cats, both adopted. One, a family friend couldn't take them anymore, and the other was found in a dumpster. Wow, you found a cat. That's sad. That is really sad. Darren says, screw Europe. Wow, that's kind of mean, Darren. I love my European friends. But you know, I have to do what I can with what, you know, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? Matthew is confirming that he has Humdinger trademarked, so I will be careful about saying that anymore. Let's see. Sean says, Jolan True, Sean. JD says, been a while, haven't caught an afternoon live stream, working from home today. Oh, well, I'm glad to see you, JD. And I'll tell you, you know, I wish I could do these daytime live streams more often, but unfortunately, it's going to be less often for at least the time being. Now, when my schedule shifts again, I'll be able to go back to doing 1 or 2 daytime live streams a week, which I'm looking forward to for a couple of reasons. But that schedule, when I'm on the 4x10 schedule, is what I'm really looking forward to, because that will allow me the best balance of work and YouTube, I think. Darren says, in my day, we didn't tour Europe. We bombed the F out of it. Wow. Wow. And Sean, thank you.
Will aid in preventing the burn, or is it permanent canon? Mind you, in 25 years it'll probably all be reconned again.
That's a good question, Sean. As far as the burn, the destruction of dilithium crystals across the galaxy, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to try to prevent it from happening in the past, because they kind of hinted, based on some of the dialogue in episode 1, that time travel's not an option, right? First thing she does is destroy the red suit, which, granted, was a really stupid thing to do, but I understand that they may be trying to remove certain things from the picture so that people won't say, why didn't she just use the Red Angel suit, you know?
I was going to force myself to watch Discovery, having skipped most of last season. Is she still in that damn time-traveling suit? Say it ain't so.
Good question. And other trials. So, as I just kind of said, no, the Red Angel suit is gone. As of episode 1, it is destroyed. And so that actually, I think, is a positive thing. And I will say this. Sonequa Martin Green's performance as Michael Burnham was the best in season 3, episode 1 that she had ever done. And so, you know, as it doesn't make her character great. It just means that was her best performance, I think. She felt more human than she had felt in prior iterations. But anyway, so they kind of, it seems like with the destruction of the Red Angel suit and the dialogue from Booker that time-traveling equipment was all destroyed after the Temporal Wars, then it seems like time travel would be out of the question, which means that preventing the dilithium crystal burn would not be an option. So I would say it is quote-unquote permanent canon, at least as close to permanent canon as Star Trek can ever have. And so, yes, you're probably right that, you know, in 25 years they may retcon it again, but, you know, as long... I don't care, honestly, if it's permanent or not. I just want a good story. And we'll see what happens. We don't have enough information from episode 1 alone to know if this season's going to have a good story. They did make some dumb moves. They made some good moves, so we'll see. Yo says, new videos mean new subs, new sources for super chats, especially after abandoning the fandom menace. You need other circles. I tend to agree there, Joseph, and that is true. And Darren says, I like your European friends too. No hard feelings. When life gets you lemons, whip them back as hard as you can. Yes, indeed. Cave Johnson. Captain Trek is in the house, says good morning. Darren says, I think if all the hot and disgusting foods all of a sudden explode at the speed of light, historians would call it the event the crawl. Oh, man. Well, if I ever... This would trigger such an event, considering that this, based on what I've been able to tell, is spicier than the one-chip challenge, which is ridiculous. So, yeah, and we still have that little nitro gummy bear to work with, too. So we got to figure out a way to incorporate that into some stuff. I definitely do look forward, though, to things that are coming on this channel. It's funny because there are times when I get downright depressed. Like if you saw my last video where I talked about, some of my feelings lately about YouTube and stuff. It's been depressing sometimes dealing with Google and their algorithm and their stupid, hyper politically correct BS, their nonsensical application of their own rules and policies and stuff like that. It can be absolutely downright depressing. But then also there are glimmers of hope sometimes, not from Google, but just from life itself. And I don't know why, but I'm cautiously optimistic about the future. Does your job give you a day to get used to the work schedule, or does it change overnight? It changes overnight. That's one of the reasons that we've got to get stuff done today and tomorrow, because my schedule just, Saturday I'm on my old schedule, Sunday I'm on my new schedule. I don't get a day off or a break or anything like that. So that also means I have to work like 8 days straight because of it. You don't need time travel equipment to time travel. We've known that since TOS. I know that, but the funny thing is, it's because you're right, but it's like, why don't they ever use that information in later generations of Trek? Like in TOS, obviously they used it when they accidentally discovered it in the Naked Time. Tomorrow's Yesterday, they used it. In a couple of episodes, they used it. And then they even used it in Star Trek 4. But then in Next Generation, it just kind of, they forgot, I guess. Stanley says, didn't the Booker guy say that they still had slipstream drive? Well, he said that his ship used slipstream drive, but that he also needed the lithium crystals. And that's the problem. It's not the drive system, it's the crystals that are the problem. And that's why, I'll tell you, I saw Trek Culture did this. I saw Script Doctor did this. I've seen person after person after person on YouTube do this, where they're trying to critique something about that episode or speculate about what may come, and from a completely false premise. And that is the idea that, since dilithium is out of the picture for the most part, right, that it's very rare now and all that because of the burn, that the Romulans must be taking over the galaxy because they use a singularity-based power plant, and therefore they're not affected by the burn. That makes no effing sense whatsoever. We don't know anything about, and Cinnabon, at least in the slipstream that they use in Discovery Season 3, it absolutely does, because Booker needs it. But the problem is that dilithium is not the power source of the warp engines. The matter-antimatter reactor is, right? The lithium channels that reaction and helps create the warp field, but it's not the power source itself. So we don't know if Romulan warp drive uses dilithium crystals. And so to simply sit there and say that that the Romulans are unaffected is going on an unwarranted assumption, in my view, because honestly, that would be, and I think I said this the other day, but I think it's a good analogy, is that if someone said, oh no, all spark plugs in the world have been unilaterally destroyed, which means that cars don't work anymore. And then someone says, well, at least the truckers will be able to get around because they run on diesel. See, it doesn't make sense. Darren says, when life gives you lemons, make life take the lemons back. Demand to speak to life's manager. Don't want your stupid lemons. What am I supposed to do with these? Cave Johnson. Yes, indeed. I love Cave Johnson. Did you hear about what happened on Twitch? Streamers being forced to delete pretty much all their old videos and clips over DMCA BS. I'm not surprised. I mean, yeah. But I didn't hear about that because I don't really do much on Twitch. In fact, I do nothing on Twitch, but I'm not surprised. I once worked 32 days in a row, all 12 hours a day in 4 countries. I kind of went insane. That sounds crazy. While you are reading this every minute, 60... while you are reading this every minute, 60 seconds pass in Africa. That's true? They could do a slingshot around the sun like Star Trek 4. Yes, they could, but doesn't mean they will. And there's Cinnamon saying Slipstream doesn't use dilithium. Like I said, I'd have to rewatch the episode, but remember, the whole point was the reason that Booker and Burnham went to the Mercantile in the first place. At least Booker was under false pretenses, but he was saying that he needed to get dilithium because his dilithium recrystallizer was damaged by their collision. So no, he absolutely needed dilithium. So, you know, I don't know as far as Benamite crystals. I don't remember. I'm not sure what you're talking about specifically there. I thought a book. Let's see. I thought a book needed another. I thought a book needed another substance other than dilithium to power his slipstream drive. Alluding to that, I'll rewatch it. Maybe you're right. I might. You know, a lot of you guys seem to think that, so I could have misunderstood. But the burn itself is dilithium, but the problem is that if slipstream drive doesn't even use dilithium, then who cares about the burn? Why is the Federation gone? Bird says, it's like saying all spark plugs were destroyed, but Tesla owners can still drive, which would be true. No, it's not, Bird, because the problem is that we don't know, because we know what a Tesla engine, how a Tesla engine works in relation to an internal combustion engine. The difference between a Federation starship and a Romulan starship isn't that one runs on batteries and the other runs on fuel. They both run on a reactor. It's just a different kind of reactor, right? One's a matter-antimatter reactor, one is a forced singularity drive. And so that's just their power source. As far as what generates their warp field, I don't think they've ever canonically stated as far as the Romulan ships. Well, that was a transwarp. It doesn't use dilithium either. Based on what? I mean, honestly, how are you getting that transwarp doesn't use dilithium? Is that based on some canonical reference? Because, you know, and also which version of transwarp are we talking about? I mean, like Excelsior-based transwarp, I think is just the new warp drive. But but it's like Borg transwarp drive. Did they ever even talk about it? I don't know. Because, I mean, Voyager has got so much technobabble, I'm sure it could be in there. But, yeah. Yeah, Twitch streamers have just discovered the DMCA. Yeah, we've been dealing with that on YouTube for a while. Even then, dilithium isn't ready for warp. And low warp is possible. Look at the Phoenix. Well, and that's another interesting question, YJ. Are we sure about that? Because we know that the Phoenix didn't seem to have a matter-antimatter reactor, but that doesn't mean it didn't have dilithium crystals. We don't know what he used to create the warp field, other than the fact that the warp nacelles look remarkably similar to the TOS warp nacelles. And so, we don't know. And so, is it possible that dilithium, I mean, maybe that was part of, you know, Cochrane's great work, was that he discovered the dilithium crystal. I don't know. Sean says, FYI, diesel engines do not use spark plugs. They have a glow plug to preheat the combustion chamber, but there are other ways to do this. Well, you know what I'm saying, Sean. Jeez. And Lee wants to know, do I have any crickets? I, in fact, do have crickets. Doesn't mean I'm going to eat them. Spock was the only guy in Starfleet who knew the formula for slingshot time travel, I thought. No. Spock discovered it. But remember, and in Star Trek 4, he calculated it purely from memory, which is insane. Bird says, I know Romulan ships don't use dilithium. Okay. If you say so. Thomas says, the burn was from the Federation using Kerogan-made dilithium crystals. All also know whatever bird of prey called his kidney stones. That's true. Diesel uses combustion. Okay, fine. I'm not an expert on mechanics, but you get the idea. You only need dilithium for antimatter. Where are you getting this, Bird? Is this some technobabble line from Voyager? Is this something from TOS? Where are you saying that you only need dilithium for antimatter? Because while the dilithium regulates the matter-antimatter reaction, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't need it for other forms of reactors. The problem is we don't have enough information. And if the idea of the burn is that the destruction of dilithium has made warp travel virtually impossible, then that would mean that any form of warp drive requires it. And Burnham even said in dialogue that dilithium is at the core of every warp-capable ship. She didn't say every matter-antimatter reactor. She said every warp-capable ship. And assuming that she is correct about that, then that's a tough one. If every warp-capable ship uses it, well, then I think that pretty much sums it up. Let's see. Azine is heading off. See you guys later. Have a good one, Azine. JD says, can't they use Picard's magical space remote to fix dilithium? I guess not. We are sure the Phoenix had no dilithium since there is no dilithium on Earth. And where do you get that from? I mean, that's the problem, Bird. You're making an assumption here. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's an unwarranted assumption necessarily, but the problem is that you have to rectify what we know of the past with what is being said now. If dilithium is required for any warp travel, as what seems to be implied right now, then somehow Cochrane had dilithium, or some kind of quote-unquote more primitive form of dilithium that worked in a pinch in his day, right? So, for example, remember they talked about in the Deadly Years that adrenaline was something that was being experimented with for radiation treatment, but then when they developed, hydroxylin or whatever it was, that they abandoned adrenaline, and so, but that's what gave McCoy the idea to use adrenaline to treat that peculiar form of radiation poisoning. So maybe Cochrane used something that works on a much more primitive level in a similar way as dilithium, but because Cochrane's ship probably could barely go warp 1 if it even went warp 1, and so it wouldn't be worth it. Like if your warp capable ships could only go warp 1, then it would still take you years and years and years to get from one starbase to another. And I agree with Darren. We do not know that there is no dilithium on Earth, even though Bird is insisting we do. There are rumors that maybe a Mandalorian spinoff that would feature Cara Dune and the ex-Mandalorian leader Bo-Katan from Rebels teaming up. That's interesting, but I don't delve in rumors much, Dan, because quite frankly, until I see, I'm excited about Mandalorian Season 2 next week. I truly am. But I'm not going to speculate on what spin-offs. It's just like people that are, people are already writing off Marvel because they think that the MCU is the MCU and crap like that. And Lee, thank you so much.
All those nasty things. My wife loved it, wanting me to keep sticking in a buck. LOL. How much did you guys make in total BTW? Super chat vote.
I'm not sure the total we made because I haven't heard back from Matthew as far as what he got on his end yet. So, and I haven't been paid by Google yet, so we'll see. But Matthew is keeping the total. I'd have to double check with him. And there's the amount that we collected versus what we actually get, because Google takes some, and then on the PayPal donations, PayPal takes some, although PayPal takes less than Google does. Anyway, so in a super chat vote, so first person to put in a super chat request gets it as of right now. We'll see what happens. Burnham will teach Spock time travel. Klingon Bird of Prey used dilithium, and since Klingon Bird of Prey was supposed to be a Romulan ship, oh wait. After the crawl, the human race began losing their sense of taste. Wow. What a jerk. And Josh Street is first in with Bird 1, and Thomas says Bird 1 as well. So we'll play Bird 1 because Bird o' Prey, everybody loves you that much. Whoops. Why is it playing that one?
Captain's log, Stardate 44307.3. I'm preparing to leave by shuttlecraft for Pentaris 5, where I've been asked to mediate a dispute among the Salinite miners. A contentious group, unfortunately prone to violence. But first, I must deal with a situation of a far more personal nature.
What better way to get first-hand experience?
Captain, I'm picking up a general distress signal from Bird of Prey 5.
On screen.
Feel the fire, feel my love inside you so bright. There's the sound and the smell of love on my mind. I'm your toy, come play with me. Say the word now. Wrap your legs around me. Ride me tonight.
My love is a fever, longing still for that which longer nurseth the disease.
I'm a man, I'm a goddess, I'm a man, I'm a virgin, I'm a man, I'm a blue movie, I'm a man, I'm a bitch, I'm a man, I'm a geyser, I'm a man, I'm a little girl, and we'll make love together. This sounds very pedo-ish.
In faith, I do not love thee with mine eyes, for they in thee 1,000 errors see, but 'tis my heart that loves what they despise, who, in despite of view, are pleased to dote. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate.
What? Oh my God.
When I have plucked the rose, I cannot give it vital growth again. It needs, must wither.
Why are you saying these things? Music to make love to an old lady.
You wonderfully jealous fool, you.
Wow, well that's basically rape. That is rape as a song. Congratulations. I gotta go turn myself in.
There you go. Bird of Prey turning himself in because he has admitted to being a rapist. Just saying. Don says, Bird of Prey answer, there nowhere in Trek does it say Earth doesn't have dilithium. I don't think so either, but Bird seems to think so. Cochrane had to go at least warp 1, that's the whole point. Well, Cochrane had to create a warp field, but we don't necessarily know the exact speed. I don't remember if they said how fast they went in Cochrane's test flight. But we do know that warp 1 is the speed of light. And so if Cochrane's ship was only capable of going warp 1, and then it would take, I mean, like, if that was the maximum warp that anybody in the galaxy could do, it would take, 100,000 years to cross the galaxy instead of 70. So, yeah. Darth Maul says, Cochrane used blue dilithium crystal meth. Oh, jeez. That's just horrible. Dan says, one episode of TOS, the dilithium was rectangular crystal, rock-like pieces. Yes, well, they've shown it in different forms. Like, obviously, Elan of Troyes, I believe, had the raw crystals that were shaped like just rocks. But then what we see, like, it looked like plates of probably refined dilithium that they were using for the, the what they would normally use in these, in the reactor. Dr. Alex is in the house, says, good morning, Anti-Tracker. I hope all is well. I am doing okay, my friend. Darren says, in First Contacts, they specifically say Cochrane was going the speed of light is what attracted the Vulcans. Is that what I don't remember. I have to go back and watch it again. I haven't watched First Contact in a while, so... hopefully Bird of Prey 5 will turn himself into something with taste. Well, I don't think that's going to happen. Riker did say, take us out of warp. You really hate that movie. No, Thomas, he said take us out of warp. Just because you're at warp doesn't mean that you are at a specific warp speed. Like, just, it doesn't mean, like, if you engage the warp engines, I would assume that even if you're going at warp, 0.9 or whatever, doesn't mean that the warp engines aren't creating a warp field. See what I'm saying? And Mountains of Elysium says, greetings, anti-checker and fellow nerds, hashtag free anti. How you doing, Mountains of Elysium? Cinnamon says, they also never said there was dilithium on Earth, and we always have seen them go mine it from other planets. I could have sworn TOS they said it was rare. Dilithium has been stated to be a fairly rare substance, but, and there are dilithium mines on, obviously, other planets, and, like, for example, Mud's Women is a great example of that. But that doesn't mean there's no dilithium on Earth. For example, think of it this way. A very rare substance on Earth is carbon crystals, diamonds, right? Now, there could be entire planets where the core of the planet is entirely made up of diamond. And so if diamonds were used in the core of a warp drive system instead of dilithium crystals, it was actually diamond crystals that were used, then a planet that was composed mostly of diamond would be an ideal place to mine it. Right? Darren says, we can't expect you to know what is said in a movie you hate, like First Contact. TMP, Kirk, Impulse Power, Mr. Sulu, head warp 0.5. Yes, but notice that, and that just shows how fast Impulse is capable of going. And in fact, Impulse Drive in that same movie, after the warp drive failed, was maintaining a speed of 0.75, I believe. But that being said, that doesn't mean that, like, when they engage the warp engine, you see the ship accelerates to warp 1 and beyond. But it was when it actually crossed that warp threshold of warp 1 that the wormhole started, right? But I mean, that's a whole other thing. But I think that it's reasonable, I think, to assume that Cochrane went at least warp 1. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not suggesting he couldn't. I'm just saying we don't know. But if he did go warp 1, and we also know that based on what we know from Enterprise, it was many, many years later that they were able to go warp 5, right? So Cochrane's technology, if he was using a pre-dilithium based reactor, probably didn't have the capability of going anywhere near the speeds that a dilithium-based reactor could go. It would be like, say, you have, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it would be just like a very, very low-powered version. And if the Federation was suddenly reduced to a max speed of warp 1, the Federation would fall apart. Anyway, Cinnabon say diamonds are pretty common. Well, when I say common or rare, for example, you don't generally walk around and find diamonds scattered about like you would find common stones, right? Or even more interesting stones. But diamonds. So diamonds are a precious material. They're not like, I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, diamonds are so rare that there's only 3 of them left in the whole world. I'm saying that diamonds are not common. They're not like dirt or sand. Imagine if diamonds were as common as sand is on the real world, right? Then now if you had another planet where diamonds were as common as sand is on Earth, then that would be the place where you would probably mine your diamonds. When you watch Star Trek First Contact and you go into a hate-filled rage, do you feel like you're just vandalizing property or destroying property? The penal colony Rua Prente is now closed because of the burn. Yeah, well, probably the whole place blew up. TMP, Kirk, Warp Drive, Mr. Scott. Ahead, Warp 1, Mr. Sulu, accelerated Warp 1, Warp 7.8, Warp 1, sir. So before Warp 1, there is Warp Point? Apparently, yes.
Hello world, it's Bird Opry. I'm happy to announce tomorrow Kuroga will break the speed of wind number 19.
Wow, Kuroga's going to break the speed of wind. That's disgusting.
Presenting the newest incarnation of the Joker.
What? What are you talking about? That's not the Joker. That's just some guy.
Oh, right. Sorry. This is the new incarnation of the Joker.
Oh, great. That is disgusting.
It's Ronald McDonald's disembodied head!
And do you think Kuroganite and dilithium are the same thing? Absolutely not. Bird has a few crystals ready to use for Kurogan Space Force. Yes, and that's part of the reason that Kurogan Space Force is a massive wad of fail. Darren says diamonds may be uncommon, but they are forever. And then Darth Maul says diamonds are forever, great Bond film. I disagree with you, Darth Maul. I think Diamonds Are Forever is a subpar Bond film, particularly for the Sean Connery era. Diamonds Are Forever, for those of you that don't know, is the last Sean Connery Bond film. It was actually the one film that Sean Connery made in the broccoli continuity of Bond that was made after Lazenby took over the role and then stepped away. They asked Sean Connery to come back for one more film, and then they brought in Roger Moore. And you can absolutely tell, if you watch that movie, Diamonds Are Forever, you can absolutely tell that Sean Connery is phoning it in from start to end in that film. It is horrible. It is absolutely Sean Connery's worst performance as Bond. And I just did not care for it. In both Voyager, Dark Frontier, and Shattered Borg only need to use matter stream running through Borg transwarp coils. Well, maybe even in the 32nd century, they haven't figured out how to duplicate Borg transwarp coils. I don't know. I think Enterprise mentioned that the Vulcans were at warp 1 for 100 years. Wow. Turtlehead has already surpassed the speed of sand, but the speed of wind is far beyond their capabilities. Wow, that's just mean. Just cause it took you 100 years to break warp 1 doesn't mean it will take us that long. Trip Checker, that is true. Never Say Never Again was the last Sean Connery film, not Diamonds Are Forever. Well, I said the last film in the broccoli continuity. Never Say Never Again was not a broccoli continuity Bond film. Never Say Never Again was, and you know this, Darren, come on, I don't even need to... I don't need to argue. I Never Say Never Again. Like, if you want to argue, like when people say, "Oh, this isn't Star Trek because they don't like Discovery," you could actually say Never Say Never Again is not a James Bond film because it is not a part of that continuity at all. It is an independent film that has nothing to do with the rest of James Bond. And it happened over some copyright stuff. From Nova, I remember them talking about that there's a planet made of a diamond. Also, diamonds aren't rare, just restricted, making them expensive. Well, Valor, I think rare and uncommon are easily confused. I mean, they are uncommon, but as far as, and they're cool. A lot of people like them. Didn't mean it was the best film, but the redhead chick was hot and she was built. Well, that's not how I rate a James Bond film, quite frankly. If I was just rating the James Bond film based on the Bond chick, then I would have to definitely say that the Daniel Craig era is the best. Uncle Raymond says Diamonds Are Forever is worse than Never Say Never Again. I didn't say that. I don't consider. First of all, Never Say Never Again is not a broccoli film. And yes, Darren, you can rewind right now. I said that it is the worst film in the broccoli continuity. That is absolutely what I said. So, yes, I was talking specifically about the broccoli continuity. I was not talking about Never Say Never Again was not produced in that continuity at all. But Never Say Never Again was probably the worst Bond film. In fact, that's the only Bond film I don't bother watching. When, like, me and Mrs. Antitrekker recently rewatched the entirety of the James Bond saga, all the way from Dr. No through Spectre. And honestly, Never Say Never Again didn't bother with it. Not interested. And but the funny thing is, Never Say Never Again is actually just a remake of Thunderball, which is a better film. Fun fact, Never Say Never Again is Bird's favorite Bond film because of Tula. Halle Berry makes my top 10. Halle Berry, not a bad-looking Bond chick. I will give you that. Never Say Never Again isn't even part of my James Bond box set. No, it's not, because it's not made by the same people. That's the thing. I don't remember. Let me see. I think it's not even MGM, is it? Never Say Never Again. All right, cinematography, edited, distributed. Yeah. So all the Bond films in the Broccoli continuity are distributed by MGM. Never Say Never Again, where it's distributed by Warner Brothers. And so that's why it's not in the box set, because the box set is from the MGM Bond films. Never Say Never is dumb. Agreed. And Joseph, you should know, since you are a Bond villain. Darren says, you can rewind it. You didn't mention the Broccoli continuity until after you declared that Diamonds Are Forever is the last Connery Bond film. I'm not going to argue with you, Darren. He is right. That rarity is relative. If you were standing on a black dwarf, a cooled white dwarf, you'd be standing on top of a large planet-sized diamond. Yeah. If she isn't Catwoman, then that movie would be 100% unwatchable. Well, Catwoman, even with her in it, that movie, it's so bad. Cinnamon says, Never Say Never Again or Star Trek V, which is better, or First Contact as well. Well, First Contact is better of the three. Never Say Never Again versus Star Trek V. I will give Star Trek V this much. At least Star Trek V is in the so bad it's entertaining category. Never Say Never Again is boring. So I would pick Star Trek V over Never Say Never Again. Diamonds Are Forever, still one of my favorite Bond movies for the soundtrack, plus that red bread van Mustang. The Mustang was cool. And I will say that Diamonds Are Forever, the song wasn't bad. But yeah. And Darren says, Halle Berry is gross. She's polydactyl. Some genetic problems there. I don't know. What does polydactyl even mean? I mean, my brain isn't quite functioning. I've heard that word before, but now I'm not like... Polydactyl, physical anomaly called polydactyl, which causes the cat to be born with more than the usual number of toes. Oh, she has extra toes? I didn't know that. It was a book that was copied from Bond. Yes. Halle Berry has 6 toes on at least one of her feet. I did not know that, Darren. But you know what? I've never seen her feet. So that's funny. I did that. Let's see. Halle Berry feet. Let's see if I can find an image of Halle Berry's feet. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't see any extra. Oh, okay. Let's see. I don't know if that's actually her. Like, I'm seeing a picture of a person with polydactyl feet, but I don't think that's her. So, yeah. Don't know. But that's kind of, yeah, if that is her feet, they're gross looking. So, yeah. Shirley Bassey made some of the best Bond themes. Favorites, Goldfinger. I think she did some great songs. Honestly, there are a lot of good Bond songs. There's a few bad ones. But yeah. But does Halle have a third nipple? Not that I know of. She probably has a foot double. I would assume so. So Halle's foot fetishes, wet dream. Yeah, I'll bet Quentin Tarantino would love to get his hands on those feet. Dan says, okay, I've got USS Enterprise Owner's Workshop Manual, published in 2010. States the first warp-capable ship in Earth's history was the Phoenix, piloted by Zephyr Cochrane, and could only travel at warp 1. Makes sense. Although, keep in mind, as cool as those books are, they're not really official canon. But I don't have a problem with that. I mean, because I don't think anybody's suggesting that Cochrane's ship was super fast. Especially since it wasn't until the Enterprise NX era that we got to warp 5. And Adele is up there with that. I really like Skyfall. I think that's a great sounding Bond song. So I do think Skyfall was honestly really solid Bond entry. I still, even though I know I'm in the minority here, I still like Spectre best of the Craig era Bond films, but I don't like the song, the Writing on the Wall. I don't particularly care for that song. There's no way you would have that kind of money and not give that toe the axe. It does seem a little weird, doesn't it? All right, so I am going to wrap it up here, guys, because I need to try and get some work done. I got a lot to do before the show tonight. Please don't forget, tonight we'll be hanging out with Life with Matthew on the virtual pub. It will always be fun. And then, and you're right, Darren, that they called the NX-01's engine a Warp 5 engine, but they rarely went to Warp 5. But that's because it was a theoretically capable of Warp 5 engine. You know, it'd be like if they basically called the Constitution class ship a Warp 8 engine. Because Warp 8 was like pushing it to the limit, even though, yes, they got to Warp 9 a couple of times, but Warp 8 was theoretically really pushing it. And the time for the virtual pub on Life with Matthew's channel is 8:45 p.m. And so that's when we generally start. And it's on the channel Life with Matthew. If you haven't checked out his channel, you should. He's a lot of fun. And yeah, we just have some fun. And Vile's in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Hope that you are doing well out there in the wilds of California. In the meantime, guys, thank you all for hanging out with me. Jolan True, live long and prosper, and all that crap. I'm sorry, that Lee, that was Central Standard Time, 8:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. And yeah, I know you all. You know, it's funny. We'd come in and then I'm wrapping it up because that's what you like to do to me, Vile. That is what you like to do because you're vile. That's all it is. And thank you, Thomas, for putting the link for Matthew in there. If you're not already, you should be subscribed to Life with Matthew. Come hang out with us tonight. The virtual pub is a lot of fun. He does it every Wednesday. And I will still, even on my new work schedule, it'll be difficult, but I will still hang out at least for a couple hours on the virtual pub every week. All right, guys, take care and have a good one.
Everything you've got. Taking a break from hating JJ sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to just get laid? Sometimes you wanna go where all the Trekkies know your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be in a galaxy where Star Trek isn't lame. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Turds of a feather flock together, that's what we believe. We know a place that's got you covered, a place to get relief. Wouldn't you like to say me poo? Sometimes you wanna go where Turner Steadies know your name, and though Kurogans are to blame, you wanna be where you can see Kuroga go up in flames. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
You son of a bitch, anti-tracker!